Good evening, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host, Ahmad Nawaz. Big news tonight, and it is big news indeed. Pakistan has been successfully doing its cricketing diplomacy throughout the world, courtesy of Chairman PCB Ramiz Raja. And now the big news is that Pakistan will successfully be hosting an ICC event. The 2025 Champions Trophy, ICC Champions Trophy, would be held in Pakistan. Now, this is phenomenal news because at a time when we talk about teams pulling out, then making commitments again to play in Pakistan, Australia wanting to come to Pakistan after 24 years in a complete tour, England trying to reschedule, then of course New Zealand as well. But then the Champions Trophy is absolutely phenomenal. You see that Pakistan will now be hosting the Champions Trophy of 2025. Pakistan last time hosted an ICC event, that was the World Cup in 1996. UAE in the West Indies will be hosting the T20 World Cup thereon after as well, because we know that the next World Cup is in Australia. So this is the complete calendar. 2024 West Indies in the USA, 25 we have Pakistan, and then India, Sri Lanka in 26, 27 South Africa, Namibia, and then thereon forward we go and see that different teams will be hosting these events. We'll be sharing these details as well. After that, we'll be talking about Pakistan's tour to Bangladesh. The 20-man test squad has been announced. Inclusions, exclusions indeed as well. But obviously, we've got to discuss this with the future plans for Pakistan as far as Test cricket is concerned. I keep on stressing on all platforms that we've got a very less share of Test cricket. So we need a more share of Test cricket. And if we don't have more share of Test cricket, the tests that we do have, we need to play them with an intent to win them, not just try combinations for the future. So I'll be very frank about this because it's the ICC Test Championship that is up on the line as well at the later half of the year or of the calendar. So you got to consider that you need to be in good practice, in good rhythm. Bangladesh are going to be very, very strong as an opposition. So Pakistan need to be on their A game. After that, we'll be discussing some more developments in the world of sports. We'll be going on to the FIFA World Cup Qualifiers as well, and we'll be talking about different games in different groups. But first of all, Portugal were stunned by Serbia, and of course, they had no answer. They really didn't have any answer, and 2-1 was the scoreline, and that means that Serbia had beaten Portugal. Ronaldo was forced to take a World Cup playoff spot, which he wouldn't have liked personally in his career as well. Croatia beat Russia by 1-0. Switzerland also dominated. England completely annihilated their opponent San Marino by 10-0. So that was a big dominance that we saw as well. So we'll be discussing some updates about football. Then, of course, moving on to Formula One. Always my personal favorite. Whenever we talk about motorsports, Formula One is the thing to talk about. I know there's been a lot of dominance by Sir Lewis Hamilton, but you got to give him credit. Even the Brazilian Grand Prix proved it further that he produced a memorable comeback. I mean, 10th on the starting grid, almost back to 20th when it comes to the race lineup during the race. And then from there onwards, coming to just annihilate his opponents like this, I think only Sir Lewis Hamilton can pull that off. I've been a Ferrari fan throughout my life. I've supported Michael Schumacher. I've witnessed the great races. But I'll be very, very honest that I truly believe now that Lewis Hamilton is the greatest F1 riders that we have ever seen, drivers ever seen. Not just on the track, but even off the track. His resilience, his capacity as a human, I think there needs to be a lot more that needs to go down in the history books as far as Sir Lewis Hamilton is concerned. I keep on mentioning Sir because he deserves that knighthood, and he's truly shown that in the Brazilian Grand Prix as well. It was absolutely stunning of a comeback when we talk about racing. After that, we'll be moving on to a very special segment that we've got on Sports Extra. That's on the last half of the show. I won't disclose that yet, but we've got a surprise for you, so we'll be discussing that in tonight's show. Starting off with the developments of cricket, like I said, the big news tonight is that Pakistan is successfully hosting an ICC event, that is the Champions Trophy in the year 2025. We'll discuss this further. We've been joined on Sports Extra by senior sports journalist Syed Haider. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Welcome to Sports Extra.
Walaikum salam. Thank you.
Right, sir. I'm sure you're on the better side of history, but after 1996, that was the last time when Pakistan hosted an ICC event. That was the World Cup in which Sri Lanka won, of course. We all have those memories. But now coming down, 2025 Champions Trophy in Pakistan. How big of this is an achievement as far as PCB is concerned, considering the fact that teams have been pulling out of their tours recently?
Absolutely. It's a very, very good news for the Pakistan whole nation that their international team now coming to Pakistan. And I think it's big effort of the PCB Ramesh Raja. He has a good relations with the other countries and chairman of the boards. I think when he has made the bid for the Champions Trophy and he has got a support from the other cricket boards because he has a good relations. And I understand immediately after 2 months when the New Zealand and England they have gone back from the tour. So it's a big news for Pakistan cricket that Pakistan cricket and Pakistan whole nation, Pakistan country is on the right path at this moment. And Ramesh is doing very good effort. Absolutely, if the Champions Trophy will be, it's still a lot of time for the Champions Trophy in 2025. It's 3 years more, but I hope, and whole nation can hope that till 2025 the situation will be more better than today, and at least same as right now we have in the Pakistan. And if the international teams come to Pakistan, then it means that Pakistan cricketers, Pakistan youth, Pakistan youngsters, which who are playing the cricket, they have a very good opportunity to learn the cricket from the international cricketers. And Pakistan has a very good face for the international world that Pakistan is a peaceful country. And if ICC is awarding this tournament, ICC Champions Trophy, then it means that ICC has admitted that if the New Zealand and England they have cancelled the tour, it's a wrong decision of these countries, and still Pakistan is a very peaceful country for any type of the international cricket.
Absolutely right. Do you think, because like you mentioned that we've got 3 years to prepare for that event, I understand that on the diplomacy front, PCB has been phenomenal, and Ramesh Raja probably enjoys such a good repute internationally, being a renowned broadcaster, that he can get things going even in the ICC, and he's coming up with a very pro-Pakistan stance. Pakistan first is what he believes as well.
Exactly.
So, do you think that in the next couple of years, what we can do is that build a better infrastructure? It's always about Rawalpindi, Lahore, and Karachi, but do you think that it's time now that we move ahead from these three cities as well and develop more venues and also increase capacities as well?
That's correct. Pakistan has enough time. Pakistan can build good stadiums. It's still Rawalpindi and Lahore, they are the good venues. Karachi, we cannot say because the Karachi National Stadium, I cannot find it in a good condition for the international cricket if the Champions Trophy will be played here. But it's enough time for the Pakistan Cricket Board and Pakistan government that to reconstruct the stadiums, Lahore and Rawalpindi, or they can make also one more stadium, new stadium, as we are is always hearing that in Karachi, in Bahria town, they are making a very good stadium, international level stadium. So they could accelerate their construction work, and they can make also one more stadium in Karachi. But important thing is that how the Pakistan is prepare for the international event, because it's not only the stadium, but also the environment of the cricket. It should be also better. And Pakistan there is an opportunity. Pakistan can prove that Pakistan is still in a good condition to host any type of the international event. In 1996, Pakistan final match has been played in Lahore, and Pakistan did it well. Still, Pakistan was in the position to host any other tournament in the past, near past, but ICC or other countries, they were not agreed to play in the Pakistan. But now, if the Champions Trophy has been decided to play in the in Pakistan 25, then it means that we can get more tours before the Champions Trophy also. It's a significant move by the ICC. ICC is turning the ball to the other nations that if the ICC is agreed to arrange the Champions Trophy in Pakistan, then other nations like Australia, England, New Zealand, as we have heard that Australia is coming next year, and England is also planning more T20 matches before the T20 World Cup. It means that the mind of the other nations is being changed, or is being they are thinking about that Pakistan is now it's a good venue for the any type of the sport, and Pakistan a peaceful country right now.
I think very important point mentioned by Syed Haider that during this time teams would now want to tour Pakistan to get acclimatized to the conditions and have a better chance of performing in that Champions Trophy that takes place in 2025. Moving our focus now to Pakistan's tour to Bangladesh, we've got a test match there as well. So now they've announced a 20-man squad that will be part of this test series, and obviously subsequently the playing teams would be announced from this squad. Big inclusion, obviously Imamullah makes a return. If you talk about exclusion, Shan Masood is not considered in the squad anymore. Nawaz Dhani, who used to be part of the squad, is not there. Kamran Ghulam is there as well. Haider, first of all, I would like you to comment on the fact that Pakistanis have been taking this, some Pakistanis have been taking this series completely the other way. They've been very concerned that immediately after a T20 World Cup, what if we had won instead of a victory parade, we were going there and, things were happening. But the fact is that people need to realize, and you could better comment on this, that we've got a very limited share of international cricket. So if we've got any tour, no matter how the scheduling is, Pakistan need to take part in it.
Exactly, it's true that Pakistan has to get any type of the chance. If they are getting the chance to play anywhere the cricket, they have to avail this chance. It is very necessary for the Pakistan national team, because if you will wait only for the big countries like Australia and England to get the tours, then you will waste the time. It is necessary. Bangladesh at their home ground, always a strong team. You cannot consider that if they have not performed well in T20 World Cup in UAE, it doesn't mean that they will not perform in their home country. We have come to know that Tamim Iqbal is out from this T20, and also Shakib Al Hasan is not playing. But still, Bangladesh is a good rival, and they can give good competition, good fight to Pakistan team. And this is the opportunity for Pakistan. Pakistan would go with the newcomers, new youngsters. Pakistan has included only the Fakhar Ahmad in the T20 team, as Hafiz is not playing. But Pakistan could get a chance for the other youngsters. Shoaib Malik could be rested, and Hassan Ali could be rested. Nawaz Dhani is touring with the Pakistan for last 6 months, but still he hasn't got any chance to play. So this is an opportunity to give the chance to youngsters, Nawaz Dhani and or other any like Wasim. He's a very good fast bowler. I always prefer Wasim. He's a good bowler. Right. So the Pakistan should go with the youngsters. It is very necessary. Definitely. Bangladesh tour is not very important, but it's an important for our newcomers.
Definitely, I would agree that it's important to try out the new combinations as well. Syed Haider, thank you so much for joining us on Sports Extra.
Thank you, Ahmad. Thank you very much.
Now we're going to go towards a short break, but stay tuned because we'll be right back. We'll be discussing football and Formula One, and my buddy Sabeel Hazir will be joining us in studios. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Extra. Time now for football. First of all, the FIFA World Cup Qualifiers. To talk more on this, we've been joined on Sports Extra by football youth coach and expert Sabeel Hazir. Assalamu alaikum, buddy. How are you?
Walaikum assalam, Ahmad. I'm good. Thank you for having me again.
Well, I want to stay to my stance that I had in the afternoon. That is this bad luck going towards Ronaldo from Manchester or the other way around? Something is definitely not there for him when he wants to, end his career on a high.
I think the universe wants to make his last few years the most stressful. Like I said, I think by the end of the season, we will see a man who looks 40 because like Portugal were the favourites going into this game. Now, Serbia are not a bad team by any stretch, but you expected Portugal to win. They lost 2-1 at home to a last-minute winner, to a championship striker who I'm a big fan of, Mitrovic, but Portugal should have been doing much better.
What do you think happened? Because they had it in their mind, I'm sure, as a team that we only need a draw. Like I said, they go with a traditional 4-3-3 formation, and as Hassan mentioned in our afternoon show on the Urdu platform that they've got strong wingers, so they like playing with that formation. 3-5-1-1 for the other side, Serbia, and they looked pretty more comfortable, but obviously I understand it was a last-minute goal, so things changed.
I think the formation-wise, I don't think that was the issue. I think, for example, Portugal even have great, Hassan Bhai in the afternoon was talking about wingers. They have great fullbacks as well. Cancelo right now is one of the best in the world. So the wide areas, they're great. I think the issue is Serbia actually had the better chances throughout the game. They dominated, and that's not because of the way the two teams stacked up against each other formation-wise, in my opinion. I think it's because you see Tadic and you know he's the main guy, everything's going to go through him. Why not man mark him? Why not man mark him? You know, we've seen that in the past, very famous examples being like Pirlo and Park. We remember how Manchester United marked Pirlo out of the game. You see examples like this. So when you know everything comes through Tadic, they have other great players, but but you know it's going through him. He's the main attacking threat. He scored as well. So I think you should have man marked him. I think they were they got that early goal, and I think they sat back because they only needed a draw, right? And I think they sat back a bit. They didn't look to press up too high or win the ball high, and I think that cost them eventually. And I think Serbia were mounting pressure on them, and it was just a matter of time before they broke them. Yes, you held on till the end, but at the end of the day, the dam broke, right?
How long can you hold on to? Yeah, that's very true, because in football we've often made this statement that sometimes you can't hang on for all the 90 plus minutes that you're talking about. Coming to your favorite game, it was England up against San Marino. 10-0 was the scoreline. Harry Maguire got a goal and he celebrated. So
look, fair play to England. 10-0 in professional football is a massive scoreline. Fair play. You need a point. You went out and in exuberant fashion you went and won a game against the lowest ranked team in the world, but at least you won, right? But I think they need to calm down a little bit. England does exceptionally well in qualifying all the time. In my life, apart from that free kick that Beckham had to score against Greece, since then England have been doing better and better, and since 2010 their qualifying record is amazing. So nobody expects them not to qualify. The issue is, look, how your players perform at club level, fine. That's also an issue, but if they come to the international stage and they perform, that's okay. So it's like, look, at the end of the day, England needs to win a tournament now. Enough of this qualifying, enough of being happy with a semi-final place and stuff like that. Yes, improvement is important.
But would you say he's got the squad, Southgate, he's got the plans, and he can deliver when needed?
No, I don't think Southgate can. In my opinion, the thing is, he's got the squad. The players are there. The players have been there for the last 2 tournaments. Yes. I think, look, the English media, they get far too much attention globally because of the amount of power they wield, but they have been talking about, look, they got to the semis in the World Cup, great. They got to the final of the Euros, great improvement. It's like, look, the squads they had, fine, World Cup semis I'll take, but they had an easy run to the semis. They had 3 tough matches, they lost all 3 of them. And then in the Euros, you had the squad to beat Italy. Now Southgate, for example, just to give you one example, there are so many, but you bring on Henderson, because you love bringing on Henderson. When you need a goal, you bring on Jordan Henderson, and then you take him off in the same game. Like, what tactics?
Why bring him on in the first place?
Like, his tactics to me make no sense. I am very, very careful not to criticize elite level managers this strongly, because I know how talented and how hard they've worked to get there. But Southgate, in my opinion, doesn't have a clue of what to do with this giant pool of very, very good players. But one positive, Smith Rowe scored, and I'm sure Arsenal fans will be really happy, and I'm very happy for the young lad as well to get a goal.
Spoken like a true Scottish. Against Southgate, but I don't want to be skeptical about it. But speaking about Scotland, teams have been doing well this time as well.
Yeah, I think they needed that boogeyman of not qualifying for tournaments for however long. They broke it with the last Euros. And
monkey off the back.
Yes, and they did perform terribly at the Euros, but at least they got to the Euros. Now, they needed this win because obviously a loss at this against Denmark, who were favourites going into this. They've won, I think, all their games, conceded like 1 goal, I think, running up to this match. You don't expect Scotland to beat them. Maybe draw, but not beat them. They won 2-0, kept a clean sheet. And I think the most important thing is they've got a seeded playoff place now, which means now that they're seeded, they get to play the home tie. Because imagine being away to, I think, was it Portugal or Russia? If they're away to Portugal or Russia, they're losing that game. At home, Scotland, Scottish club teams and the national team, you hear players like even Xavi talk about Celtic, for example, being like it's one of the toughest atmospheres to play at. Well, international players have said that about the Scottish team at home as well. So big advantage. The boys should be proud of what they did. And obviously, because I lived there, I'm very happy to see them do well.
Because this opens up a new era for Scotland as well. Now, because you talk about this, we need to understand, for people who've not been much involved, you have a on-ground knowledge of the structure there, of how teams are competing there from club level to the league and then to the national team. How do you see it improving, and how do you see it having a more chance of making it up to the big boys now?
I think, look, Scotland has made massive strides in a lot of ways. A lot of things that people don't realize about Scotland being on the ground, especially as a coach, going through their coaching education. I learned this is that they have
grassroots levels.
I will say this, that they have the best coaching education in the world, in my opinion. Now, whether they implement that across the board remains to be seen. But Germany, them, and England, they do a great job in terms of coaching education. A lot of big coaches like Jose Mourinho came and did his later UEFA licenses in Scotland, you know. So we've got great coaching education, and now they're trying to implement that across the board. The mentality at grassroots level is slowly changing. People are becoming, there's a negative footballing mindset which is now becoming a bit more positive.
How's that?
In terms of in Scotland, you know, obviously if you compare to Pakistan, it's miles and miles ahead. They might as well be tiki-taka compared to what happens here. But if you compare to other European countries, Scotland has a very direct approach, very long ball, very aggressive kind of football. Just get stuck in there and, you know, make yourself. And it's like that still exists at grassroots level. Even the international level, it exists to some extent in their national team. But it's changing. They're having a lot more technical players come out. They're protecting the younger players who are a bit smaller but very good on the ball. These kinds of things, you see these changes coming through. COVID hit Scotland very hard. They do not have the money England does in terms of football. So teams, you know, in the lower leagues in semi-pro football were going bust and, you know, folding. And, you know, but the good thing is at the higher level, hopefully, as they do well internationally, they get a bit more sponsorship and a bit more money comes in, because that is holding them back a little bit, the financial aspect. But in terms of grassroots level, these are people who are very dedicated. And these kind of things encourage them to keep going and keep putting in the hard work. And I have no doubt that if the Scottish coaching education gets to the grassroots, they will do well in the future.
Hopefully, we do hope that. For Sabeel's sake and love, we do hope that happens. But talking about you know, someone who keeps going on and on, it's Lewis Hamilton. I mean, I cannot enjoy F1 more. I think this is the era to be not just a Mercedes fan, but a Lewis Hamilton fan as well. So much more to him than meets the eye. Remarkable record at this age, and the way he's been pushing the limits is truly something phenomenal. Sabeel, 10th on the grid, then you understand that he gets pushed even further back during the race, and then a comeback like this is unheard of in F1.
So, Lewis Hamilton, I think you said this at the start when you were introducing the stories, that he must be the greatest.
He is,
now. He
truly.
is, yeah. And the race as well, like you said, he started 10th.
Yeah.
I think this is only the second time he's finished in won a race coming from outside the top 6. So it's not something that even somebody as great as him could do very often. So very, very big result, big win. They need it because they're chasing, he's chasing Verstappen obviously in the leaderboards. And look, Mercedes has unbelievable pace. I don't think any car out there right now can compete with them. And then when you have a driver like Hamilton on top of that, it's a bit overpowered. But fair play to Hamilton, fair play to Mercedes. They're doing a really, really good job dominating. And I'm a Verstappen fan, so I like to see him do well, but you can't deny what Hamilton has done. And I think this race was great for a lot of different reasons. I think Ferrari did quite well, and they went with a slightly unique strategy, so they did all right.
They've always done well in Brazil, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the fact that they stuck to the look. We're doing the 2 pit stops, medium, medium, soft. We're not going medium tires and hard like the rest of the grid. So I think it paid off. They got 2 in the top 10. But yeah, Hamilton, fair play, well-deserved win. He's never an underdog, no matter where he starts. But this was pretty tough.
It's interesting that you just told me that you're a Verstappen fan now, because I understand Hamilton has been completely dominating this season. But this is the first season where I see some quality competition to Hamilton, and he's really having a run for his money this season.
Yeah, I think Verstappen, somebody whose junior career I followed, he was thrown into a very, very harsh F3 climate straight away. Most people have to work their way up to that. I think in his second year of racing or in his first year of racing, he was thrown into that kind of environment. And he did exceptionally well, and he kept coming up. Red Bull, fair play to them, snatched him up at young enough. He's still quite young. Verstappen is very young. You see a lot of young racers in the grid nowadays. But his rise has been incredible. Honestly, if you're a racing fan and you're somebody who's an F1 fan, you should go and research his junior career and see how he's come up. And now you understand why he's giving Hamilton competition, because he's somebody who adapts very quickly. And you can see that he's doing so well now. And I think Mercedes has been dominating for a long time. They still, in my opinion, are far outright the quickest constructor in the standings. But Verstappen, with his very aggressive style of driving, he's very, very it's beautiful to watch. He's generally such a good driver to watch.
A young adrenaline rush comes in, definitely.
I understand. So very enjoyable, and I think it's really nice to see Hamilton finally get like serious competition. I think, the last time he lost was at the last time he lost to his own teammate, I think there were issues there and stuff.
Yeah.
So to see a competitor from outside come and challenge him might suit him a little bit more as well and push
Yeah,
him
makes
to
him
do
more
better.
competitive.
Yeah, imagine seeing somebody who's already this great. You have somebody like Verstappen come in, a young upcoming, like, I don't want that guy to beat me. I am Sir Lewis Hamilton. I'm going to go another level beyond what I've already achieved. It's incredible. But a lot of good performances on the grid, but Hamilton stole the show.
Really stole the show as well. Sabeel, Hazir, thank you so much for
Thank you
joining
very
us on
much.
Sports Extra. Time now for a short break. We'll be right back with something very special. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Sports Extra. Like I mentioned at the start of the show, time now for something very special. It's often said that tennis is not just a sport. It's a sport of the mind, and it truly is. And whenever we talk about tennis, then in the world, we see a youth bulge now dominating tennis. Be it Emma Raducanu, be it Naomi Osaka, whoever you want to talk about is truly going to take the tennis, I think, world by storm, being the next gen of tennis players. We've got one right here in studios as well. It's been a long time since we talked to him last time, but I'm sure that there's many more things that are coming on his way. Then we're going to be talking about them as well. Tennis prodigy and a champion that he is. Mikaeel Ali Beg, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you, sir?
How are you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good to have you, and good to see the Pakistan flag there,
Oh,
right
thank
there
you.
on your jacket. Right, so Mikaeel, what's going on? We've just heard that you're going to be participating in a very, very fantabulous tournament that's coming up.
Yes, so next week, or actually this Saturday, the Pakistan team is flying to Nur Sultan for the finals tournament, where the top two teams from 4 regions in Asia qualified. And last time we talked about where we beat India in a thrilling match. So, fun fact, we're actually somehow a higher seed than India because we beat them. So I'm really looking forward for that.
Tell us about that game as well. People want to know, because that was a high intensity game. No matter how good you are of a tennis player, whenever you're playing India, the stakes are higher. So how was that game?
So in the singles, one of my partners won the first match, and then in the next match, my other partner lost. So then I had to play the doubles with the partner that lost, and we were getting destroyed. Like there was no chance we were gonna win. We were down 6-2, 5-0, and match point. And then I just decided to try to get a game, so I just tried to go for a volley, and I made it down the middle between them, and then that gave us a little confidence, and then we just started getting games until, like, out of nowhere it was 5-all, and then they were under pressure and we were not under pressure.
Yeah.
And then we took the set 7-5, and then the match tiebreaker at 10-5.
So you basically pulled off a Djokovic there. That's what you
Yeah.
did. So that's interesting. Now, talk us through the team combination, your fellow teammates as well, and your own practice now going into Nur Sultan. As you mentioned, it's a very high stakes tournament now. You've got the best teams coming. So how are your preparations, team combination so far, and also what kind of surfaces are we expecting?
So, but 2 weeks before this, I was training at Spain for 2 weeks, and then I came here. So I was training really hard there, and the rest of my team is also training really hard here in Islamabad. And in Nur Sultan, it's going to be indoor hard court because it's already snowing there. So I'm looking forward to playing on indoors. I haven't played in indoors in a while. And the courts that we are training on in Islamabad are really fast, So that will help us for our preparation.
So what's the strategy of going into an indoor court? What are the things that you need to keep in mind being a tennis player now?
You have to keep in mind that you have to always be ready. The ball will come fast, and always have not too big of a racket swing, because then you'll be late to hit the ball.
So you're, like you mentioned that you've been practicing in Spain, and the courts here in Islamabad are pretty quick themselves as well.
Yeah.
So that means that the team is all set and geared up for a good competition.
Yeah, they're all very set.
So, you know, talking about that, it's not just his own self that Mikaeel is interested in. He's interested in tennis whenever you talk about him, and you mention any player, he'll always have the background checks on him. And so, you know, he's like the int box of tennis about all the players. But speaking about the players, I know you're very much interested to talk about the ATP finals. And
Yes.
I think it's a no-brainer who you're going to choose to win that.
Well, I know Djokovic has the highest chance of winning, but I think, in my opinion, the players that will qualify for the semifinals are Rublev, Novak, Zverev, and Medvedev, because even though Rublev hasn't been doing too well in the past month, he played a really good match against Tsitsipas and won in straight sets. So I saw that he was playing really smart tennis, and I think he can qualify for the semifinals. And then I think it's a 50-50 between Djokovic and Medvedev.
It can't be. Come on. You can't say that it's a 50-50. I'm sure you've got a favorite.
Well, I obviously want Djokovic to win because he's my favorite player. But I love Medvedev too, and I think they're both really
How impressed
great.
are you by Medvedev and Zverev, who have really upped their game in the last couple of seasons?
Yeah, I'm really impressed by them. I think after Djokovic and the big three retire, I think they'll become the next big two.
So you see them making a future as well?
Yes.
What is with this that, you know, when we talk about the greats of tennis, and we've been stuck in that debate of, you know, Federer and Nadal, how long they can continue, and then Djokovic dominating, you know, that's been the talk throughout tennis. But
Yeah.
immediately we see a storm of youngsters, and when I say youngsters, 19, 20 years old, Emma Raducanu just turned 19, so she was 18
Yeah.
at that time, just coming and just taking the tennis world by storm. So how has this happened so quickly?
Well, I think maybe because all these young players are getting inspired by the big three, so they're working really hard, and also maybe the coaching system is getting better. But honestly, I'm not playing junior ITFs yet. I'm not old enough to do that yet. So I haven't really been able to see what makes these youngsters so
But is
good.
it inspirational when, you know, a youth ambassador like you sees an 18, 19-year-old winning Wimbledon or any major ATP tournament or whatever, then, you know, does it become a thing to follow that, okay, you know, these guys are doing it at a young age, so maybe, you know, we can excel there as well?
Yeah, that is inspiring. I think I was really inspired by Sinner when he won the Next Gen ATP Finals 2 years ago. And I really like Sinner. I think he has a really clean game. I don't think he actually played the Next Gen ATP Finals this year because he played another tournament so he could get into the top 10.
That's probably his goal or his plans,
Yeah.
what he's wanted to do as well. But my final question to you is going to be about your opponents, because we've talked about your preparations at Nur Sultan, but what about your opponents?
Well, I don't know what they're doing, but I'm assuming they're all training really hard. And I don't know all the teams, but I know that Kazakhstan's coming, Uzbekistan, India, Jordan, and Pakistan. Those are the 5 teams I know, but I think there's 4 more teams that are going to be coming.
So you've got some good, healthy competition coming from
Yes.
Central Asian and Asian states as well at the same time.
Yes.
That's going to be good. Well, all the very best to you and Team Pakistan in general for the tournament. We really hope that you get to fly the flag sky high there. And then when you come back as a hero, we get to celebrate it once again on Sports Extra. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all we have time for. But one thing is for sure, that we're going to be rooting for Team Pakistan in the tournament at Nur Sultan. And we're going to hoping that they come back with a victory and we celebrate it on Sports Extra as well. That's all we have time for. From me and the entire team, it's goodbye for now.